Mentioned earlier, it's all about free taking and keeping in there. All right then, so well done to Cian, and after today's game, Joanne caught up with him.
Well, Cian, congratulations. A nice way to start off your championship campaign.
Yeah, it's great. It's brilliant, you know. I mean, last year we were beaten by Dublin in the first round in Leinster, so I mean, it's great to get that little bit further this year, so we'll be looking forward to the next day.
What a free-taking performance it was today. Are you utterly confident each time you go up? You look like you are.
I don't know, conditions play a part. It was, you know, there was no breeze there today. New footballs for the championship, so plenty of practice, and it sometimes it works for you, sometimes it doesn't. It went all right for me today, but another day it could go badly. So I'm happy, very happy after today, but you know, a lot of work to do for the next day too.
All right, well done, Cian. Now, just before we leave Meath, I'd like to note the minute's silence before today's game to mark the tragic death last night in a road accident of 17-year-old Liam Tolan from Screen. Only yesterday, Liam played for the Meath Minors in the Leinster Championships. I can only imagine how proud his family must have been yesterday. So on behalf of everybody here at the Sunday game and the broader GA family, our sincere condolences on your tragic loss. Well, next we head to the opening match in the Munster Football Championship at Dungarvan. Now, after an excellent league campaign, hopes are high in Waterford. But could Clare maybe upset their plans? Darren Frehel reports.
Clare arrived in Dungarvan with memories of their 9-point league hammering back in April still fresh in their minds. It meant Waterford went into this game as favourites and expecting to win. But it was the men from the Banner who came flying out of the traps. Watch this for a piece of skill by Gary Brennan, who catches the throw-in and proceeds to waltz through the home defence before firing it over the bar. A remarkable score, and what a start for Clare. Clare impressed with their work rate in the first half, and they dominated for large periods. Brennan again was involved with this score. His questionable hand pass picked out David Tuberty, and he popped it over the bar. Clare led 6-2 at one stage, but they allowed Waterford back in the contest with points from Tommy Prendergast, Brian Wall, Gary Herney, and this score from Wayne Hennessy to mean there was just a point between them at the break. The game's turning point came 8 minutes into the second half. Liam O'Leonan's long delivery picked out Gary Herney, and he flicked the ball past Joe Hayes in the Clare goal. The visitors did their best to claw their way back into the game, Tuberty and Alan Clohessy combining well for Clohessy to keep his side in touch. But all hope of a comeback ended when Declan Callanan was sent off for a second yellow card. Waterford piled on the misery with this terrific score from Herney. Liam O'Leonan finished the job in the closing stages, his point ensuring a 4-point victory with Limerick awaiting them in the Munster semi-final. Final score, Waterford 110, Clare 9 points.
Limerick are standing between us and a Munster final, and I'm sure they'll be thinking the same thing, you know. So preparations over the next 2 weeks will have to be as good as we can get it, you know.
We weren't ruthless enough today. We had chances to win the game, we didn't take them, and that's how championship matches are decided. Gary Herney got an opportunity at the edge of the square. There was no mistake by a full back or out the field. He won his ball among 3 men and buried the ball in the back of the net, and that goal decided the outcome of the game.
A good win for Waterford. As we heard there, they're now playing Limerick in a semi-final, so one of them will be in the final. Would it be unfair to suggest that Limerick, with their experience, would be a stronger test for Cork or Kerry?
It wouldn't. In reality, Limerick are a very, very strong championship outfit, but there's such a feel-good factor about Waterford football at the moment. Yeah. Johnny Owens definitely has them going in the right direction. I think it's telling that Gary Herney is totally committed to the football team this year. Liam O'Leonan is on fire inside there and the forwards all year and throughout the league, and you know they won't head into the Limerick match with any lack of confidence.
Could be a good game.
Yeah, could be.
All right then. Well, coming up after the break, marvellous memories of a hurling hero, and the dissatisfaction continues with football's new hand-pass rule. You're very welcome back. Now we're going to discuss again the controversial changes to the hand-pass rule. But first, to a series we're going to run throughout the summer called My Hero, where we ask famous personalities from football and hurling to tell us about their own very special GA hero. And we start with Offaly legend Johnny Dooley.
Pat Carroll up now, up to the wing. It's going very near the sideline, but nicely kept in play by Pat Carroll. Pat takes a shot, and there it goes. The first score of the game.
Pat Carroll, I suppose, would have had a big influence on that the early stages of that Offaly team, 1980-81. I suppose that's when Offaly made the breakthrough at that stage. So, and you know the way sometimes county players, when they go back to play with their clubs, they sometimes don't stand out, but Pat always stood out. He always stood out in club hurling. You never had him beaten. Now, he was as hard as nails.
This is like high noon. Sylvie Lennon on the left, Pat Carroll on the right.
He had some famous tussles back through the years with Sylvie Lennon and with Gerard Henderson and other very strong players from other counties. As a half forward, where he mostly played maybe full forward, he'd break the ball through, he'd turn on, he'd get in after the ball, always get back out. Again, picking up his man, working tirelessly for the team when he doesn't have the ball. And again, like Pat would have got vital scores for Offaly. You know, the All-Ireland final in 81, the scores he got. Offaly worked against a very strong Galway team that year. And Pat got a goal, in the first half. I suppose just to keep Offaly in it at that time, because the fear there was with the strength of the Galway side that they'd race away with the game.
Pat Carroll, a goal!
He had the guts to go for the goal as well, and it paid off for Offaly that day. I met Pat. I was friendly with a nephew of his, and we went visiting in the house, especially maybe when I was 9 or 10, and that was, at that time it was like looking up to a god. It was a great. You'd be nervous when you go to see a guy like that because he was such a big name at the time.
And the referee's whistle has gone, and the All-Ireland final of '85 has been won by the Midlanders of Offaly.
We're very proud to be here today as champions because it means that we were able to do so without the services of one of Offaly's greatest ever hurlers. He's in hospital today. Pat Carroll will be with you soon.
Pat had just got sick around that time, and shortly before that I think maybe the semi-final could have been his last game, and I'm sure on the day, I gave him a bit of a motivation to go on and maybe put in that extra effort to win it for Pat. When he passed away, I suppose in 1986, the 16th of March, it was probably one of the biggest funerals ever in Offaly, and he was held with huge regard. He always gave no less than 100% any time he represented Offaly in the green, white and gold.
Now, isn't that fantastic? Great choice by Johnny Dooley. Pat Carroll truly was an Offaly legend, and of course Pat's son Brian is Offaly captain this year. They play Antrim next weekend. Well, hurling's race for the Liam McCarthy actually got underway in Portlaoise last night when Laois took on Carlow in Leinster's preliminary round for the right to take on Dublin. Reporting on this one, John Kenny.
Carlow were back in the Leinster Championship for the first time in 6 years and came into Saturday night's game in Portlaoise in a confident mood after a decent league campaign, facing a Laois side who'd beat Carlow by 6 points in the Division 2 game last month. Dublin manager Anthony Daly amongst the crowd for the opening game of the Leinster Hurling Championship. And it was Carlow who were on the scoreboard first with a brace of points from left half forward Craig Doyle, opening up a 2-point lead. Laois hit back, and a 65 by Matthew Whelan and a second point by full forward Tommy Fitzgerald levelled up the contest. Both sides had chances over the remaining minutes of the half, and it was the Barrow-siders who edged into a 3-point lead coming up to half-time, courtesy of Dennis Murphy's free. Laois, though, scored 2 late points to reduce the margin to a single point at the half. Whelan's long-range score meant that Carlow went to the break, leading by 7 points to 6. Laois, however, took the game by the scruff of the neck in the early part of the second half, and Joe Fitzpatrick in particular helped his side into the lead for the first time with a goal and 3 to wrest the game away from Carlow. Leading by 6 points, Laois had a great chance to extend that advantage, but Willie Hyland's rather tame penalty was saved on the line by the Carlow defence. Carlow themselves missed a penalty when the goalkeeper Frank Foley smashed his shot off the Laois crossbar. In the end, it was Laois who ran out deserving 6-point winners as Carlow's heads dropped. The final score deservedly went to man of the match Fitzpatrick as Laois eased their way into the Leinster semi-final. Carlow entered the game with 14 players as Owen Costello was sent off late on. A far tougher contest awaits as it's Dublin the last 4 for Laois as they ran out winners in Portlaoise, 113 to Carlow's 10 points.
Carlow, they're a progressing team and they're